everyone, and welcome to Book Fetish, the podcast of reviews by bibliophiles for bibliophiles. And today we will be reviewing Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Okay, so I don't exactly have my copy of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter with me. Beauty of college is, yeah, it's in storage. So I have to say that even though it is Abraham Lincoln and vampires, and with the current spin-off of everything being vampires and everyone kind of getting sick of vampires, let's be honest. Ever since Twilight rolled out, we had a vampire werewolf craze, and then no one wants to read about vampires anymore. I have to say that he wrote a believable non-fiction style fiction story that had the vampires sort of as an added element that didn't really mess up or make it unbelievable. So the introduction starts out with a small town author. I have a great idea. I want to be a big shot one day, but I never got published. I never finished my novel. And he's sitting in a hardware store in the middle of nowhere. And this guy named Harry comes in, who obviously looks like a rich man, says, "I have the truth about Abraham Lincoln. I have his diaries. I need you to write the story." And then he reveals he's a vampire. And so basically the rest of the story is the writer and his novel of the truth about Abraham Lincoln and how actually everything was about vampires and they kept everything under wraps. So I found that the writing style was very, very easy. For a book that is modeled after nonfiction, I have to say I've read a lot of nonfiction and it's been pretty dry. Ugh. But no, this was pretty fun to read. I was always going, oh, what's going to happen next? How is he going to incorporate vampires? How is this going to be another facet of the vampire hunter story? Going, ooh, I never really thought Abraham Lincoln would be so, I guess, violent. Kind of caught me off guard at certain points. Yeah, I'm going to chop everything with an axe. He kind of went through a phase there in the book. But all is well. The story was actually sectioned off really well for a nonfiction style book. It broke up his life like a typical biography, early life, then between his early years of adulthood and him becoming a man of law, and then you had his political career, and then you had the Civil War, and then his untimely demise. Basically, it was broken up into those sections. The early childhood life basically had how he discovered vampires, how he lost people in his life due to vampires, and how it inspired him to become a vampire hunter. And then he also meets Harry. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Ooh, everything ties together because of Harry. And he meets Harry, and he actually learns how to kill vampires instead of just chasing after them with an axe like an idiot. And all the friends he makes along his way in his vampire hunting journey. And Harry actually throughout his entire life sends him on these sort of missions, like, ooh, this vampire is getting out of line, she's starting to kill babies, maybe you should go take care of that. This guy's starting to kill prominent members of society. And then we have his love life, basically in the beginning of law and early manhood chapters. And then you go on to his political career, and then you find out that the Civil War wasn't just about slavery, it was also about vampirism and how the slaves were basically being used for food. And that becomes prevalent in actually the first couple of chapters. But the whole entire Civil War is basically because all the plantation owners, which you find out early on, so no spoilers. I really don't want to have too many spoilers for you guys since I don't really know how much you guys want to know. But you find out that all the plantation owners are actually vampires because they were run out of Europe due to the fact that, hey, we're eating everybody. Whoopsie. So plantation owners would use slaves not only as a cheap source of labor, but also because, hey, food, buy your own food. It's like grocery shopping. And then you have the end of the book with Abraham Lincoln's untimely demise, and the ending was amazing. I have to say it was one of the best endings I've ever had in a spin-off insert vampires here story. It was actually a gripping ending, and it left with a really great last line. It is the last line I'm going to remember for a very, very long time. And I have to say, it was a very, very good book. On a rating, I'd probably give it a 4.5 out of 5. And I'm not a big vampire reader, even though I may look goth. I kind of burned myself out early on. I read the first book of Twilight and went, why are they sparkling? But for someone who doesn't like vampires, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah, that is the first book review on Book Fetish. So if you have any ideas, comments, questions, suggestions for me to read, what you want to hear about in my reviews, let me know. I reviewed comic books, I review manga, magazines, short stories, nonfiction, fiction, basically anything. I'll even do fluffy romance crap. Ooh, I might get a little sarcastic there, warning. But let me know what you think and leave comments on what you want to read. And if you want to find out what I am currently reading or what I'm going to read next or things I have read and reviewed, I have a written review on all of my books that I review in podcast form. They are on my Goodreads account, which I will link below. So have a nice night.